My mom dropped $20,000 on a jade pendant. She was all excited, telling me to drip my blood on it, claiming it would bless the whole family. You drip your blood on this, and our luck will change big time. I swapped it out for pig's blood. Trying to use me to trade for good fortune? Little did she know. I was a demon crawled straight out of hell. My mom went on a trip to some border town and came back with this jade pendant, about 1.5 feet long. She treated that pendant like a precious treasure, practically worshipped it. Worried she'd been scammed, I snapped a picture and posted it online for help. Sure enough, people online said it was just dyed quartz, not even worth a few $100. But my mom had spent $20,000 on it. That $20,000 was supposed to be for renovating my new place. I was furious, ready to call the cops. My mom stopped me. What do you know? This pendant will protect our whole family. Back then, I just thought she'd been duped. All I could think about was getting that $20,000 back. I wasn't paying attention, and she managed to get a drop of my blood on the pendant. Not long after, our family actually started having amazing luck. Our old rundown house back home was demolished, and we got a multi-million-dollar payout. My good-for-nothing brother, Tom, won tens of millions in the lottery. Even my sister-in-law, Sarah, who'd been struggling with infertility for years, got pregnant with twins. It seemed like the pendant really was blessing the family. Everyone except me. I lost my job, the house I'd poured all my savings into became an unfinished, abandoned project, and my husband got into a terrible car accident. When I was critically ill, a shadow of my former self, I overheard my mom outside the door gloating. This pendant is truly magical. I didn't expect that worthless girl to have such strong life force. Once she's dead, though, we won't have another life to trade. Then I heard my brother Tom's cold laugh. What do you mean no more? Doesn't she have a daughter? That's when I realized I was the one who'd been scammed all along. Thinking of my 7-year-old daughter, I was overcome with grief and anger. I struggled to escape, but they found me and smothered me to death. My little family was destroyed, while they thrived, practically dancing on our graves. You brat, what are you spacing out for? Hurry up and drip your blood on it. Seeing me hesitate, my mom pinched me impatiently. Don't say I don't care about you. If you drip your blood on it, it'll protect your whole family. Really? I cracked my knuckles, forcing a smile through gritted teeth. Of course. She glanced at me, then heaved a dramatic sigh. If I didn't see how hard your life is, why would I go to all this trouble? Who else but your own mother would look out for you like this? Don't you dare waste my efforts. She sounded so sincere. In my past life, I fell for her act, believing she genuinely cared for me. And what was the result? I pretended to be touched. It can really protect me? Mom, you're too good to me. She smiled, satisfied. I'm your mother. Would I lie to you? I made a show of taking a knife to cut my arm, but secretly, I squeezed a small blood packet I'd hidden in my sleeve. As she watched with excitement, just as the blood was about to drip onto the pendant, I suddenly pulled my hand back, feigning hesitation. You know what? Maybe not. This is all just superstition. I think I should just call the police. She wasn't about to let her prize slip away. She immediately grabbed the pendant to catch the blood dripping from my wrist, completely oblivious that it wasn't even coming from a wound. The blood dripped onto the pendant and instantly vanished. I don't know if it was my imagination, but the carvings on the pendant seemed to deepen. It worked, it worked. My mom bowed to it repeatedly, unable to hide her ecstatic smile. Realizing she was losing her composure, she cleared her throat and masked her grin. Good girl. Now hurry home and wait for your good fortune to arrive. With that, she turned and left, humming happily. She had no idea I'd given her pig's blood. I was reborn on my way to her house. The moment I realized I was back, I made a U-turn and headed straight for a pig farm on the outskirts of town. I carefully selected a sick pig that was about to be slaughtered. That night, after putting my daughter to sleep, I searched online for information about jade pendants and life-swapping rituals. Every poison has an antidote. Maybe there was a way to counter this kind of dark magic. I opened my phone's photo gallery, looked at the picture of the pendant, and the carvings suddenly seemed familiar, like I'd seen them somewhere before. But where? Fragmented images flashed through my mind. I tried hard to remember, but my head throbbed violently, as if an invisible barrier was blocking me, preventing me from exploring further. Suddenly, I heard crying. It was sharp and urgent, filled with endless resentment. I woke up in a panic. The sound was coming from the nursery. Without a second thought, I bolted to my daughter's room. Annie was sitting on the edge of her bed, her back to me, leaning forward. "Don't cry anymore, okay? I'll sing you a song. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. How I wonder what you are." Her sweet, childish voice filled the room. She sang earnestly, her head bobbing like a little rattledrum. I hurried over, but there was nothing there besides her pillow, not even a shadow. This was too weird. I forced a smile. "Annie, sweetie, who are you talking to?" The singing stopped. Annie turned around. "Mommy, was my singing good?" "It was beautiful. But why won't my little brother smile?" She looked terribly disappointed, her dark eyes fixed on me. "He keeps crying." "Little brother?" I swallowed hard. "Where is he, sweetie?" A cold gust of wind suddenly swirled around the back of my neck. "Mommy, I'm right here." My eyes flew open. I quickly looked around. I was still in the master bedroom, and Kevin was lying beside me. Morning sunlight streamed in, chasing away the chill. Another dream? I touched my cold neck. It felt like I could still hear that chilling child's voice. "Mommy, mommy." I rushed to Annie's room. My daughter was fast asleep, a tiny bundle under the covers, a sweet smile on her lips. I sighed in relief, my heart softening. But at the same time, a question arose. Who was the boy in my dream? Why did my heart ache so much whenever I thought of him? "Honey, what's wrong?" Kevin came out, sleepy-eyed. I looked at him with a mix of emotions, speechless for a moment. In my past life, if it hadn't been for me dragging him down, a good man like him wouldn't have died so horribly under the wheels of a car. I shook my head. Just a nightmare. He didn't say anything, just gently hugged me. Kevin wasn't a man of many words. I knew this was his way of comforting me. We'd been together since high school, sweethearts for over a decade. Our relationship had always been strong. In our third year of marriage, we had Annie, our little angel. If we hadn't been targeted by those people, we would have been the happiest family. Thankfully, fate had given me a second chance. This time, I would protect them with everything I had. It was 7:30 a.m. I went to wake Annie up as usual. But no matter how much I called her name, she wouldn't wake up. "Annie, Annie." Annie's eyes were tightly shut. I shook her shoulder, but she didn't respond at all. Kevin heard me and rushed in. He picked her up decisively. To the hospital. My best friend, Lisa, was a pediatrician at the city hospital, young, accomplished, and highly skilled. But right now, she was looking at Annie's test results with a grave expression. According to the results, Annie is perfectly healthy. All her levels are normal. Kevin couldn't believe it. Then why is she unconscious? Is there something wrong with the equipment? Or maybe you missed something. Please check again. Lisa said, "Try not to worry. We've scheduled a consultation with neurology this afternoon. It's just, I found it strange Annie's condition was like she was simply asleep. But how could someone asleep not wake up?" I was about to speak when I saw the corner of Annie's mouth twitch. "Annie." The rest of my words froze. I clearly saw a fleeting smile cross Annie's face. Annie loved to smile. Her smiles were cute and sweet, enough to melt your heart. But this smile, it was eerie, horrifying. It sent shivers down my spine. It was like it came from a completely different person. Or maybe not a person at all. "Honey, what's wrong?" Suddenly, the image of that glowing green jade pendant flashed in my mind. The unseen child, crying out "Mommy" in that piercing voice. I shuddered. What if what I saw last night wasn't a dream? No, impossible. This time, I definitely didn't drip my blood on the pendant. How could that thing still be attached to us? My face turned pale. I took several deep breaths to steady myself. Kevin quickly supported me. "Honey, what's wrong? Are you not feeling well?" I grabbed his arm, took a deep breath. "If I told you I've been reborn, would you believe me?" Kevin looked into my eyes, silent for 3 seconds. Then he said, "I believe you." I hadn't planned on telling him about being reborn. It was too unbelievable, and the fewer people who knew the better. But I never expected the pendant to be this malevolent. I had avoided it, yet it still latched onto Annie. I told him everything about my past life. The more he listened, the tighter his brow furrowed. Suddenly, he pulled out his phone and started scrolling through his contacts. If medicine can't help, then we turn to the supernatural. Kevin worked for a construction company. A year ago, they'd taken a job renovating a villa in the suburbs. Everything was fine at first, but just as they were finishing up, a worker hanged himself from the rafters. At the time, Kevin told me it was a suicide, but the truth was the place was haunted. In the end, his boss hired a real estate agent who managed to sort things out. A real estate agent? Kevin shook his head. He's no ordinary agent. He specializes in selling stigmatized properties, and for top dollar. That sounded absurd to me. People buy stigmatized properties to get a lower price. Who would buy one for a high price? He lowered his voice. The guy has his ways. By the time he sells it, it's no longer considered a stigmatized property. That afternoon, the expert arrived. His name was Sam. He was in his late 20s, square-faced, with a middle part, dressed in a black suit and carrying a brown leather bag. He looked just like an ordinary real estate agent. The moment he saw me, he made a little sound. Kevin asked him what was wrong. He shook his head. Let's see the child first. But I felt a little uneasy. That glance made me feel like he could see right through me. First, he lit a white candle in each corner of the room. Then he took a porcelain bowl from his bag, pulled out a bottle, and poured a red liquid from it into the bowl. He dipped his fingers into the liquid and sprinkled it on Annie's forehead. Then he lit 3 incense sticks. The candles started to smoke, the 4 plumes of smoke converging on the incense. He held the incense and swayed back and forth in front of Annie. Through the swirling smoke, a black mist appeared over Annie. Within the mist, a little boy figure was pa-ing on Annie, his hands tightly covering her eyes. When he saw us looking, he whipped his head around and shrieked at us menacingly. I stumbled back a couple of steps in fear. When I looked again, the mist was gone. Sam frowned deeply. This ghost child is playing hide and seek with your daughter. If she's found, she'll have to go down and be with him. Sam told me to go to the market and buy a rooster. After letting its blood, he soaked a nylon rope in the chicken blood, wrapped Annie in a bedsheet, and then tied her up with the rope. Then he cut a lock of Annie's hair, stuffed it into her favorite doll, and drew a talisman on the doll. After all this, Annie stirred. Though still asleep, her complexion had improved a lot. Looking at my sleeping daughter, I still couldn't rest easy. Why did this thing latch onto Annie? In my last life, I was cursed because I dripped my blood on the pendant, but I avoided it this time. Sam frowned. This little ghost's resentment towards you isn't driven by the spell, it comes from him directly. Kevin and I were stunned. How could this be? My mom only brought the pendant back yesterday. Why would it hold such a strong grudge against us? That's strange. Sam zoomed in on the photo of the pendant. As he looked at it, his expression suddenly changed. He said that in a small border country, there's a secret ritual. This type of pendant is also called an infant amulet. They use infants who died wrongful deaths to create little ghosts. If you worship them daily, you can exchange your fate for good luck. Since it involves worship, it requires offerings. And the offerings must be the life force of living people. The closer the blood relation between the worshipper and the sacrificed person, the better the luck it brings. But the pendant your mom has is different from typical infant amulets. This one is carved with a type of ritual flower from a certain country, the red lotus naga, which represents blood connection. What does that mean? Sam gave us a somber look. It means this particular curse requires a blood relationship between the worshipper, the offering, and the infant ghost. This kind of magic is the most vicious, but also the most effective. That feeling of being cut off by a barrier returned. I had a premonition that the answer I was looking for lay beyond that barrier. But the intense headache made it impossible to think. Kevin supported me, his voice hoarse. Honey, don't think about it. I looked up and only then noticed the deep sorrow in Kevin's eyes. His voice was filled with anguish. He's our biological child. I froze, and an even more violent headache struck me. A deliberately buried memory resurfaced. 3 years ago, I was pregnant with my second child. When I was 7 months along, Tom offered to drive me to a prenatal checkup. But on the way, we got into a car accident, causing me to go into premature labor. Money poured out like water, but the baby's condition kept worsening. My pediatrician friend, Lisa, told me bluntly, every day he lives now is pure suffering for him. Seeing his tiny body hooked up to all those tubes, my heart ached unbearably. Kevin and I cried in each other's arms all night, and finally, we decided to stop the treatment. We had so many hopes and so much love for this child. We'd even picked out a nickname for him early on, Leo, wishing him peace and joy. But we could only watch helplessly as he stopped breathing. That memory was too painful. It constantly reminded me that I wasn't a good mother, that I had, in a way, let my own child die. To move on, I followed my therapist's advice and suppressed that memory. Sam sighed. This child's spirit hadn't fully formed. He only understands that you abandoned him, that you caused his death. And then he was turned into an infant ghost, so naturally, his resentment towards you is immense. Tears streamed down my face as I looked at Annie. It's all my fault. I didn't protect you. I don't deserve to be a mother. Kevin gripped my hand, his eyes bloodshot. Honey, this isn't your fault. If they hadn't had such evil intentions, Annie and Leo wouldn't be in this situation. My nails dug deeply into my palms, but I felt no pain. I knew why that pattern looked familiar. Before Leo was buried, my mom had covered him with a small blanket. The pattern on that blanket was the red lotus naga. She wasn't mourning her grandson, she had her eyes on Leo from the very beginning. And Tom, he offered to drive me to the checkup. I thought he was having a moment of conscience. Looking back now, maybe that car accident wasn't an accident at all. Hatred washed over me, and my whole body trembled. They were so cruel. What did my Leo ever do wrong? He never even got a proper look at this world. The image of that ferocious infant ghost appeared before me again. But he used to be such a sweet child. My face was etched with sorrow. What will happen to Leo? Can he ever change back? Master, I beg you, please save my child. Help him reincarnate. Sam looked pained. This kind of dark magic is very prone to backlash. To suppress it, they must have Leo's ashes. I don't know what method they're using, but if we can get his ashes and the pendant, I can help him reincarnate. A flicker of hope ignited within me. I wiped away my tears, gradually calming down. The pendant was in their house. Leo's ashes. Maybe they were hidden in their house too. I asked Kevin to stay and look after Annie, while Sam and I went to find the ashes. He was the expert. If there were any specific rituals or precautions, he'd know. My mom's place wasn't far from mine. I went upstairs first to see if anyone was home. The front door was locked tight. I wasn't surprised. Tom was rarely home, and my sister-in-law, Sarah, would still be at work at this hour. As for my mom, she loved playing mahjong. She was probably at a friend's house playing right now. I found the spare key in a nearby flower pot, unlocked the door, made sure no one was inside, and then called Sam to come up. The living room was pitch black, except for the eerie green glow of 2 candles on the altar table. I turned on the lights. Sam stayed in the living room while I went to the bedroom to search. As I was searching, Sam suddenly called out. I rushed over. His expression was grim, his eyes glinting with anger. He pointed to a hidden compartment under the altar table. Inside, there was another jade pendant. Unlike the first one, this one had no carvings on it. Next to it was an empty black bottle. They lay there quietly, as if waiting for the next offering. A chill ran through me. Who was this pendant for? Sam felt the bottom of the pendant. This has someone's birth date and time on it. When I saw the characters clearly, my eyes widened in disbelief. This is Sarah's birth information. He sneered. Your sister-in-law's life force is also very valuable. One wasn't enough, they wanted a second. They're truly depraved. I was stunned. So they had prepared 2 pendants. One for me and one for Sarah. But in my previous life, right up until I died, Sarah was fine. She even got pregnant with twins. I shivered. What if they weren't planning to use both, but Sarah's was a backup? In the last life, they used my life force to change their luck. Plus, Sarah got pregnant with twins, so they gave up on using her. But this time, they didn't get anything from me. So they would definitely go after Sarah. This is a warding stone. It can suppress the resentment of a soul. Sam's words interrupted my thoughts. He picked up the bottle next to the pendant. If I'm not mistaken, Leo's ashes should be in a bottle like this. Sam and I searched every inch of the house, but couldn't find even a hint of such a bottle. If it wasn't in the house, where else could it be? Just as I was thinking, we suddenly heard the sound of a door opening outside. Mom, I'm starving. Hurry up and get some food. It was Tom's voice. Sam gestured to me helplessly. I quickly pulled him into the bedroom and had him hide in the closet. After hiding Sam, I had just stepped out into the living room when I ran into my mom. She looked at me in surprise. What are you doing here? I dangled the key in my hand. I left my key here, just came to look for it. Really? My mom gave me a suspicious look. She was about to say more when Tom's shouting interrupted. Hurry up. Are you trying to starve me to death? Maybe because he was agitated, his voice was much hoarser. I followed the sound and my eyes widened. In my memory, Tom was always overweight, but not like this. He had to be at least 200 pounds now. He was like a 200-pound slab of fat sprawled on the sofa, his head buried in a pile of food, stuffing it into his mouth. In between mouthfuls, he suddenly looked up. His face was so bloated he looked like a pig. "How did you get so fat?" I couldn't help asking. "What do you know? Being able to eat is a blessing," my mom snorted. I'd lost several pounds recently from worrying about the pendant. My mom looked at me, then at Tom, and couldn't have been more pleased. "You're just unlucky. My son's good fortune is still to come," she said pointedly. I suddenly remembered the pig's blood I dripped on it. Could the pendant have taken effect? Had he really traded fates with a pig? My heart sank. I needed to tell Sam about this quickly. I wouldn't mind if Tom turned into a pig ripe for slaughter, but I was worried it might affect Leo. Tom ate incredibly fast. My mom was practically flinging food with the spatula, and still couldn't keep up. Finally, he just pushed her aside, grabbed raw meat, and started gnawing on it. Greasy blood trickled down his chin, pooling in the folds of his neck. My mom looked like she wanted to say something but hesitated. Finally, with a trembling hand, she reached out. "Son, slow down." While they were in the kitchen, I quickly opened the door and let Sam slip out. "Sis, leaving so soon?" Tom's voice suddenly came from behind me. I turned around. He'd already devoured the entire table of food. He ate faster than a pig. He wiped his greasy mouth and let out a loud burp. A shiver ran down my spine. "I found my key. If there's nothing else, I'll get going. My friend said they saw you at the hospital. Are you sick?" Tom looked me up and down, his gaze as cold and unsettling as a snake's. My mom sidled up, her shrewd eyes holding a veiled anticipation. They were my family, yet they wished for my death more than anyone. An idea struck me. I put a sob in my voice. "Mom, Tom, what am I going to do? The doctor said I have a terminal illness. Actually, I came today hoping to borrow some money from you for treatment." "Really?" The joy on my mom's face was almost impossible to hide. Tom nudged her, and she belatedly caught on. She heaved a dramatic sigh. "Where would I get money? If you ask me, this is just your fate. You should accept it. Why bother with treatment? Better to save the money. I raised you after all. You should leave some money for my retirement." With that, terrified I'd actually ask for money, she pushed me out the door with both hands. Just before the door closed, I saw the irrepressible smile on her face. After leaving my mom's, I went to find Sarah. I wanted to know how much she knew about the pendant. In my memory, Sarah had always been a gentle and kind woman. When she married Tom, I was still in school. My family didn't want me to continue my studies, but she used her dowry money to support my education. She and Tom hadn't had children for years, and they blamed her for it. Whenever I stood up for her, she would comfort me instead, worried about damaging my relationship with them. If she was involved in the plot to harm my family, I wouldn't tell her about the second pendant. I'm no saint, I wouldn't be kind enough to save an enemy's life. But if she was also innocent, I couldn't just watch her walk towards a miserable death, like I did in my past life. We arranged to meet at a coffee shop near her office. I waited for a bit before she rushed in. "I'm so sorry, Chloe," she said, a little embarrassed. I was about to leave work, but my boss called a last-minute meeting. "No problem, I just got here too." I smiled, but my gaze fell on her flat stomach. I got straight to the point. "Sarah, do you know about infant amulets?" As I explained, I watched her reactions. She went from confusion and shock to eventual helplessness. She shook her head. "Superstition isn't the answer, Chloe. Have you been under a lot of stress lately?" I knew she wouldn't believe me, so I was prepared. I showed her the photos of the pendants, 2 of them, one engraved with my birth information, the other with hers. Her hand trembled as she opened the photos. Seeing her disbelief, I actually smiled. I knew this alone might not fully convince her, but she wouldn't dare risk it. "Sarah, you're pregnant, aren't you?" She looked at me, shocked, her hand instinctively going to her stomach. My friend Lisa at the hospital had told me she'd seen Tom secretly visiting a urologist for infertility issues. But in my past life, Sarah had twins, and timing-wise it would have been around now. If in the last life it was because they'd traded my life, but now the pendant could only trade for a pig's life. Yet Sarah's earlier gesture was an unconscious move to protect her belly. That's a habit pregnant women have. There was only one possibility. I continued, "The baby isn't Tom's, is it? If he finds out, he'll never let you go." "Sarah, even for the sake of the child in your belly. Can you afford not to believe me? Please stop. Sarah lowered her head, sobbing uncontrollably. I watched her cry quietly. I was a mother too. I understood that once a woman has a child, even for a 1% chance, she can't afford to be complacent. Children are a weakness, but also armor. Finally, Sarah looked up again. Her eyes were red, but filled with determination. I believe you. Back at my mom's house, I'd seen a necklace on Tom, hidden under his clothes. I could vaguely make out the shape of a small bottle. No wonder I couldn't find it anywhere in the house. Who would have thought he'd be so deranged as to carry Leo's ashes with him? Sam said we couldn't delay Leo's matter any longer. The more time passed, the stronger Leo's ghostly nature would become. If he became tainted by killing, he'd lose his chance to reincarnate. Tom could die, but not at Leo's hands. He definitely carried the necklace with him. Sarah was his wife. No one was better suited for this task. A few days later, Sarah gave me the ashes. It all went smoother than I could have imagined. Sarah looked disgusted. Tom's busy playing the stock market now, talking about investing in some project. He's daydreaming all day, muttering about how he's going to get rich. I think he's really lost it. Get rich? I glanced at a message on my phone and smiled. This lifetime, I guarantee he won't just fail to get rich. He'll lose so much he won't even have that fat on his body left. Sarah looked conflicted. After a moment, she took a deep breath. Chloe, I want to divorce him. I really can't take it anymore. All these years of marriage, I haven't been able to have a child, and they blamed me for everything. Whenever he had a bad day, he'd take it out on me, calling me a barren hen. And your mom's folk remedies. Needles as thick as nails stuck into me. Medicines that made me swell up and throw up. I used to think it was really my fault, so I gritted my teeth and endured it. But now I know. It wasn't my fault. She touched her stomach, a look of relief on her face. Chloe, I've had more than enough of this life. I took her hand, my gaze sincere. Sarah, you were never wrong. I support your decision to divorce him. And if he doesn't agree, an idea came to me, and a ruthless look crossed my face. Then you can become a widow. Tom firmly believed in the pendant's power to change his luck. Since he thought he was destined for greatness, I decided to give him a little push. In my past life, shortly before I died, I saw a news report about a middle-aged man who jumped to his death after being scammed out of his entire fortune. The scammer was said to be a professional con artist, posing as a top investment guru to prey on people dreaming of getting rich quick. I didn't do much. I just slipped that con artist's business card into Tom's pocket. He'd naturally assume fate was smiling on him, delivering a path to riches. Considering the time, he should have sold his house by now and be diving into investments. Sam quickly set up the reincarnation ritual. A circle of white light appeared. Leo's hazy figure materialized within the light. He still looked like the infant ghost, ferocious, with black hair and red eyes. Why? Why did you abandon me? Seeing him like that, my heart felt like it was being sliced. If I hadn't been so trusting, if I had discovered Tom's plot sooner, Leo wouldn't have become this. I'm sorry, Leo. Mommy is so sorry. Tears streamed down my face. Then you can come be with me. He grinned, extending a hand, his black nails as sharp as knives. Okay. I smiled and nodded. Sam tried to stop me, but I sidestepped him. I walked towards Leo, step by step, and in his surprised gaze, I pulled him into a tight hug, just as I had imagined countless times. The piercing pain I expected never came. Instead, I heard sobbing from my embrace. Mommy, I missed you so much. The Leo in my arms no longer looked like a ghost child. His face was innocent and lively, no different from any other kid. This was how he was always meant to be. Mommy, it's time. I have to go. He looked at me reluctantly. I choked back a sob, forcing a smile. In your next life, will you be Mommy's child again, okay? Leo nodded obediently. Just then, Annie suddenly ran out, her round eyes blinking. Mommy, where is little brother going? Little brother, are you leaving? Don't you want to play with me anymore? Don't go, I'll sing for you. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. How I wonder what you are. Leo reached out a hand from afar, making a head-patting gesture. Big sister, don't cry. He waved to us. Daddy, Mommy, goodbye. Annie sang through her tears, her sweet, childish voice echoing in the room. I leaned against Kevin, sobbing uncontrollably. Leo, don't worry. I will avenge you. A few more days passed, and I suddenly got a call from my mom. She sounded frantic on the other end. Chloe, mommy's good daughter. You have to save me. Save me. Your brother took out a loan from loan sharks, and they can't find him, so they came after me. They said if I don't pay up, they'll break my legs. The background was noisy. I could faintly hear sounds of ransacking and my mom's screams. Chloe, hurry and save me. I'm your own mother. I'm begging you. It was a scam riddled with holes, but my mother actually thought I'd fall for it. After all, I was her ever so dutiful and obedient daughter. I quickly said, Mom, where are you? I'll be right there. Kevin grabbed my arm, shaking his head. Don't go. I gave him a bright smile and pushed his hand away. Some things need to be settled personally. Once outside, I hailed a cab. District A number 13. The man in the driver's seat grunted an affirmation. I looked at him. It was a hot day, yet he was wearing a hat and a mask, completely covered up. His eyes looked familiar. You're Tom's friend. Before I could finish, a dark figure lunged from the trunk, clamped a hand over my nose, and then I lost consciousness. Mommy. A cool breath brushed my face. I snapped my eyes open to an old ceiling. This was the old family house. It felt like I heard those calls again. I was confused. Hadn't Leo reincarnated? Was it a hallucination? Just then, footsteps approached from outside the door. I quickly closed my eyes. You're so clever, son, getting me to use that sob story to trick her over here. Otherwise, she's so ungrateful. Such a great opportunity to contribute to our family, and she wouldn't dare refuse. As she spoke, my mom hurried over and pinched me several times, still not satisfied. If it weren't for her, we'd have been rich long ago. It's all her fault. Tom let out a couple of sinister laughs. Mom, don't worry. The master said last time it must not have been enough blood. This time we'll take more. Nothing can stop our family from striking it rich. He actually wanted to try again. So cruel and so stupid. As if sensing my anger, an invisible little hand seemed to gently brush my chest. I gradually calmed down. A shadow fell over me. Sis, I know you're awake. Don't worry, after I've swapped my fate, I'll grab my little niece too. You can just stay here quietly. My fortune depends on you too, you know. I couldn't hold back any longer. I glared at him. You despicable bastard. You've done so many evil things. I'm telling you, you'll come to a bad end. You'll die without a proper burial. Something I said must have triggered him. Tom's face contorted. You damn bitch. I'll definitely have a better life than you. We have the same mother. Why the hell should I be worse off than you? Hey, old woman, what are you gaping at? Get the pendant over here, now. Only then did I see Sarah cowering in the back, holding the pendant. At Tom's roar, she visibly flinched and timidly approached. My mom, holding a knife, grabbed my hand. Chloe, dear, don't blame Mom later. If you have to blame someone, blame yourself for not being good enough. A single drop of blood should have done it. Who told you to be so useless? Do you have any idea your brother was almost beaten to death by those loan sharks? And it's all your fault. Why are you talking so much to her? Drain all her blood onto it. If that's not enough, use her whole body. I refuse to believe it won't work this time. Tom had complete faith in that con artist. He'd not only sold his house but also taken out loans from loan sharks. As a result, he'd lost everything and was drowning in debt. His original plan was to use my life force to change his luck, and then use the money to pay off his debts. But the pendant hadn't worked. The loan sharks came after him, beat him severely, and threatened to cut off one of his legs if he didn't pay up. That's why he was so desperate, resorting to kidnapping. He was a madman. I, however, became calm. Don't you want to know why it didn't work? A single drop of blood was supposed to do the trick, yet it's made you so miserable. Leo had reincarnated and moved on, but the pendant's effects lingered. Tom was now not only fat as a pig but also covered in bruises, his face pale as death. He looked both comical and pathetic. Then tell me why? Why, after all I've done, did I still fail? It's because fate has a way of ensuring wicked people get what they deserve. This kind of pendant only works when the offering is from someone blood related to the worshipper. The closer the blood tie, the better the effect. That's why you came after me. But you were mistaken. I'm not the person most closely blood related to you in this world. Tom was visibly shaken. I added fuel to the fire. Think about it. Why can others succeed with this, but not you? If the pendant isn't the problem, then there's only one explanation. You chose the wrong offering. Having been his sister for decades, I knew Tom all too well. Stupid, arrogant, impulsive, and easily angered. He wouldn't disappoint me. Sure enough, he turned his gaze to my mom. Her face went white. She cried out unwillingly, "Tom, honey, I'm your own mother. Don't listen to that brat's nonsense." But before she could finish, Tom, without hesitation, took the knife and slashed her arm. The next second, bright red blood dripped onto the pendant. Too bad the pendant was now just a worthless piece of granite. "Mom, you're my real mom. I wouldn't trust anyone else with this. Don't worry, once my luck changes, I'll take good care of you." I added a final stab. "Are you sure Mom will even be alive for you to take care of her then? I hear that when your fate is swapped, you not only get hit with bad luck, but also start seeing ghosts." Hearing this, my mom let out a piercing scream and fainted dead away. I watched coldly, feeling nothing. To fall at the hands of her most beloved son. My mom could probably die content now, in a twisted way. "Your turn." Tom raised the knife, looking at me. I cowered back. "But you already got the blood, didn't you?" He sneered. I thought about it. Better to have double insurance. "Don't worry, I'll just take a little. It won't hurt much." He advanced on me, blood dripping down the blade, splattering onto his clothes, but he didn't care. In this deserted outskirts, with my hands and feet tied, I was like a lamb to the slaughter, a fish on the chopping block, completely at his mercy. He lunged at me with the knife, but the next second he tripped and fell flat on his face, as if someone had violently shoved him. Suddenly, a cold snort came from outside the window. It was Kevin and Sam. They climbed in through the window and pounced on Tom, tackling him. Tom was already injured, and 2 fists are no match for 4. He was quickly subdued. His eyes were bloodshot, his expression crazed. "This is impossible. When did you untie her?" "Impossible. Let me go." Sarah, who had been quiet in the corner, walked over. Gone was her timid demeanor. She swung her arm and slapped Tom hard across the face. "I've had enough of your crap." Tom was stunned by the blow. He started cursing viciously. "Bitch. Whore. You barren hen. I'll kill you. Arg." Sarah slapped him a dozen more times. Pinned to the ground, he couldn't fight back at all. Once she'd had enough, Sarah let out a long breath and sneered. "Let me tell you, there's nothing wrong with me. With another man, I could have 8 kids at once." She still wasn't satisfied. "You're the one with the problem. I told you to go to the doctor, but you said I was cursing you. You blamed everything on me. All these years, you and that damn old hag beat and scolded me whenever you felt like it. Do you know how much I suffered? Today, I'm telling you." Sarah practically screamed. "You're the barren one." Tom erupted in curses. "You're fucking bullshitting me." "You're not." He met Sarah's mocking, smiling eyes, let out a roar, and the next second his mouth was gagged. He could only glare daggers. The thugs guarding the door heard the commotion, and were about to rush in when, reassuringly, police sirens wailed. The police burst in. After Tom and his accomplices were taken away, Kevin came to help me up. In a daze, I thought I heard a whisper, "Mommy, goodbye." After I was reborn, I'd had people tailing Tom. I knew his every move. This kidnapping was within my expectations. I had thought of many ways to get revenge on him, but Kevin told me that we needed to live well to make this second chance count. People like Tom weren't worth dirtying my hands over. I thought he was right. Tom's blood was too dirty for me to spill. The law wouldn't let someone like him get away. Not long after, Tom's sentence came down. Multiple charges, 20 years in prison. Following the leads, the police also caught that professional con artist, even earlier than in my past life. The man who was scammed in my previous life managed to avoid that fate. A family was spared from disaster. Afterward, I found that man and handed him an anti-fraud leaflet. National Anti-Fraud Center. "You deserve it." As for that master, Sam volunteered. "That charlatan practicing dark arts? I've been wanting to deal with him for a long time." Not long after, a horribly mutilated body turned up in the underworld of some small border country. Rumor had it he died from a demonic backlash. When my mom woke up in the hospital, the first thing she saw was the news of my brother's arrest and imprisonment. She came to my house, raving like a lunatic. "He's your own brother. Don't you have a conscience? You damn monster. I never should have given birth to you." I watched her coldly, then called security and had her banned from the premises. Not long after, Tom pissed someone off in prison and was tortured to death. My mom completely lost her mind. I sent her to a nursing home on the outskirts of the city. Barring any surprises, I'd never see her again in this lifetime. Sarah divorced, remarried quickly, and moved to another state to live. I believe her future life will be full of sunshine and happiness. Later, the old family house was demolished, and I was the sole heir. I used the compensation money to buy a large apartment in the city center. The day we got the keys, Kevin and I held each other and cried. Finally, after all the bitterness, sweetness had come. On moving day, I invited Sam and my best friend, Lisa, over for dinner. Let's have a toast. Sam raised his glass. Kevin and I looked at each other and smiled. We'll toast with tea instead. The end.